You got your bucket list, your grocery list, your list of things to do. You got a list of all your wishes. That's a wish list, dude. You got your Amazon and Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy too. But I know a list that don't exist, and buddy, so do you. It's the Epstein list, it's a mystery list with a twist. It's a myth of a list that we all just missed. Be an optimist, not a pessimist. If you wish to persist, it's probably best you forget that list. Now what were we talking about? I don't remember, but I can sleep a lot better at night. Yeah, life can just go along, knowing there's 10,000 hours of sunshine and flowers and nobody doing a damn thing wrong. Hear no, see no, damn Bongino, Cash Patel. Well, I wouldn't wanna be a sweating man with bulging eyes. Now tell me them fellas ain't compromised. Any implicated dude will tell you, anybody on the big list knows just how far the folks in charge will go to keep the status quo. So when the war bell rings, the song that they'll sing is a song that we well know. I hope. So it's off to war I go. Well, they said they's gonna fix it, but now they're all complicit. They owe. So it's off to war we go. Send the poor off to war. What else are we for? They owe.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to News from the Pew, where we told you so. I mean, that's pretty much the slogan of the show is we told you so. Yeah, there's the Alex Jones was right jar, and then there was News from the Pew gang before him. Anyway,
Alex is compromised.
Everybody's compromised, Steve. If this week has shown anything, it's that everybody and anybody outside of this show is compromised. Anyway, we're happy that you're joining us on this Thursday, the 10th of July, 2025. I'm Rick Barrett, the host of Rickcast Reviews, like 15 other YouTube channels nobody watches. And always with me is the man, the myth himself, the godfather of Catholic YouTube, the one and only Steve Cunningham. Steve, how are you tonight?
I'm well. I'm getting ready to celebrate the first anniversary of the Miracle Under the Sun. That is
the Butler, the Miracle of Butler, Pennsylvania.
Miracle Butler.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's today, and
no, it's in 3 days. It's in 3 days.
It's a 3-day.
Yeah, it's the 13th. It's 13th. They're getting it up. The Secret Service guys getting pounded today, and the great distraction away from Epstein, all that. And yeah, it's almost a visual of it. It's getting close. I wonder if we're allowed to eat meat on that day.
We can, because it's an American holiday, so you're actually required.
I don't know what day it falls on yet. I forgot.
Under pain of MAGA death, you must actually eat a steak.
I think it comes on a Sunday.
So you're good either way.
Is it the 11th? Tomorrow's the 11th, 12th. Holy cow, it comes on a Sunday. Maybe there'll be a lot of sermons on the Butler miracle.
You can get a dispensation. I mean, the Bishop of San Bernardino's giving dispensations out. So, I mean, everybody else might be given a dispensation on Sunday. You don't have to go to church. You can just stay at home and eat your Maggies. Your MAGA weed.
Since you brought that up, where is it?
That's what I do.
Up here. It was under it was right next to the robots, I think. I wasn't prepared for you to launch right into that one, but
no, I'm unpredictable, Steve. I'm unpredictable.
You are. There it is, right here.
You got to keep a leash.
Screen share. Carry the 2.
I don't do math.
Where is it right here? Amid ice rage, Bishop tells SoCal worshippers, for English-speaking people, they can stay home on Sundays. A SoCal Catholic bishop told his diocese of roughly 1 million parishioners this week that they can stay home on Sundays to avoid Mass, while concerns about federal immigration sweeps still loom over their region. Bishop Alberto Rojas of the Diocese of San Bernardino wrote in a decree Tuesday that many churchgoers have shared fears of attending Mass due to potential immigration enforcement action, and that such fears constitute a grave inconvenience that might impede the spiritual good of the faithful. You know, I'm torn. I can't fault him doing that because it's so off the charts what's going on out there. They don't care if you're a citizen or not. I get it, the legal argument, get it. I'm not saying that it's people are scared because they're going to get locked up just because of who they just walked out. There's guys that have been citizens getting locked up. I mean, the guy running for New York City mayor, they're talking about stripping him of his citizenship and kicking him out. But then this goes on with the big, beautiful bill when they just got more money than most nations use for their war efforts is now ICE. But more into that, I don't know, my good co-host of the.
Let me counterserve on the bishop argument. Okay, yeah, they're scared. Guess what? You're a Catholic. Shut up and go to mass.
I get that too.
It's inexcusable. It's inexcusable because his argument is that they are out of fear for like judgment of their or whatever the case may be. To which the bishop, Your Excellency, we're all going to be judged when we die. So they might as well get used to being, I'd rather say, hey, come to church. And if you get deported, at least you're in the right place instead of staying home and cowering. So
I get that too because I remember my brother did it. Who was somebody did a sermon talking about during the Rona times how everyone was worried about the sniffles. Obviously, this is totally different than that. But they brought up the idea comparison that the people overseas are getting literally bombed on the way or
in Nigeria, they're dying. They're getting hacked up,
blown up, shot up, all that 9 yards, or people going in and unloading a grenade in there, whatever, and they're still going. Or Nigeria, where you got they have to walk hour or 2 hours with Islamic terrorists on the side of them trying to shoot them up to getting to mass, doing catechism the whole day and all that coming back. So yeah, I know I get that. I totally get that.
It just comes across as a political statement, Steve, and not a spiritual one.
Yeah, and then that goes into everyone just trying to be politics is our religion. It's not like this topic. It's not anybody saying, I want we throw some humanity in this. No, it's you're with this team or you're with that team. And if you're not with that team, you're an automatic heretic and you get kicked out you get excommunicated from that team. You must be on the other team thing. So even the flood, we can talk about the flood in this too. Even the flood's politicized. Everything that happens is, well, is it red or blue? Is it, McClanahan brings us up in another topic on here, the Elon Musk third party thing going. And he brings up, because used to be people were identified by their religion. I'm Catholic, or I'm Protestant of this flavor, or you can get into I'm a trad Catholic, I'm a Newsort, I'm whatever Byzantine Catholic, whatever you are. Nowadays, it's more to hear, well, I'm a GOP or a MAGA or I'm a Democrat, and that ends the conversation. It's you might be able to get, oh yeah, that's nice. You're a Catholic, cool, or you're Baptist, oh, that's nice. You bring up, I vote GOP or I vote Democratic straight across, no questions asked. That's over. We got war going on.
Yeah, I mean, think about the discourse that was happening when the bombing of Iran took place. It was like, you either are MAGA or you're not. And people like myself, people like you were like, well, we're Catholic first. And there's a lot of other things. But no, it is within the American Union, in the context of the American religion, the only thing that counts for anything is what you check off, what box you check off on election day.
Yeah.
And of course, everything is going to be cast in that worldview or that frame, because it's the simplest way, Steve, and people are simple creatures, and it's very easy to just say red versus blue, MAGA versus liberal, or MAGA versus Antifa, or whatever the case may be. And it takes a lot of the work off your shoulders when you can just say, oh, I'm MAGA, and so that's it. Whatever MAGA does, I'm fine with, because that's my team, or whatever else you want to ascribe to something like that.
Even when your team cult leader is talking about amnesty, you're still like, oh, we got to get rid of them all. Wait a minute. Your boss is even saying, no, we're we're not doing that. And here's some of the stories I found beforehand is
Yep.
meet the new National Police Force. U.S. This ICE agents attend a pre-enforcement meeting in Chicago on January 26th. That was the photo from there. A flood of cash. I mean, now they are
They have more money than Israel.
It's nuts, and that goes back into politics thing. Are you sane or are you a partisan hack? And if they're partisan hack, you're going to go freaking ICE, baby. Yeah, was it Let's Go? Whatever they keep putting on the thing. That's LFG and all that. And they don't care about anything. I saw somebody post a comment talking about the bishop again. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to go to mass next time with an ICE jacket on. Goes back into the idea politics over everything else. Just because your team does X, now you hate your neighbor.
Mhm.
It's nothing about God. Look in Christ and everyone else. No, that is thrown the heck out, and it goes for both teams. This is not
Yeah.
just one side. If it's the reverse team, they would do the same. Look at Rona times. Shut down, made you afraid of your grandma, made you afraid of anybody. I remember my wife and I and our kids walking down the sidewalk during that time, and people would go out into the dirt or grass on a sidewalk because they didn't want to come near you.
6 feet.
So, yeah, they're terrified. Now fear isn't all over with the Hispanics, no matter if they're here rightly or not rightly. I mean, again, here's more on this. There's evidence of cell phone surveillance detected at anti-ICE protests. Those San finds evidence of cell phone thing. Mobile network anomalies consistent with cell phone surveillance were detected at July 4th protest at an ICE field office in Washington State. According to Straight Arrow News, if you're nasty, suggested that the device's IMSI catcher may have been used to collect identifying information of cell phones at the protest site.
Well, don't worry, Steve. Just like the Patriot Act was only geared towards Muslims, the ICE money and the expansion of the surveillance state will only be used to get the illegals.
Yeah.
Only used to get the bad guys, as they call it.
And there's this Nathan Freed Wessler, deputy director of ACLU Speech, Privacy and Tech Project, said the use of Stingray device to identify or track people exercising their First Amendment right to protest would raise grave concerns. Because again, if this is ICE coming from the federal government, they're a straight violation of that. Paris mayor tells residents to stay inside after reports of ICE activity. This came out today. Said in a video posted on the city's Instagram and Facebook pages on Wednesday, July 9th, we urge all residents to remain calm, stay indoors when possible, and know your rights. Do not go out unless necessary, and do not open the door to strangers. The city is committed to protect the dignity and well-being of all our residents. Again, I understand the argument where everyone brings up. And here's this is ICE professors, ICE couple.
Now, yeah, I understand all that. My comment always to that is law and order does have to be enforced on some
Yeah,
way or shape.
I get it.
And that's the fine line we have to walk, Steve. It
I
really
get it. But
is.
20 years later, we're just allowed to put our shoes back on.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Hey,
Golden age, Steve. And
golden
the only
age.
reason we're allowed to do that is because real ID and face
Yeah.
scanning. And
And
if
when
I
they
had the
when they
choice,
say trust the
I would take taking the shoes off if
yeah
it meant I didn't have to get my face scanned. But
yeah, I mean, I know you're the same way. I mean, if the government like Trump comes out with a post there in White House, trust Trump. I'm
yep.
sorry. If the government comes out saying trust me, I do the opposite.
No, I mean, it's the same thing gun guys have been saying forever. When the government says you don't need a gun, you go buy two. So it's
Yeah.
exact right. It's the exact same idea. And I understand and I get that, there's not I wish there was a more cleaner way to do stuff like this. And I wish that it didn't get to this point where so many people were allowed to break the law and break the catechism of the Catholic Church, because immigrants are supposed to respect the countries they go into. That
Yeah.
includes respecting the laws and the borders of the countries that they are supposed to assimilate into. And now that we have this chasm of lawlessness all over the place, Steve, the natural human response, which is why God gives us our rules and commandments, because he knows our nature, is to get this extreme, to try and clean up this problem. So it's a messy situation all around, and there's no winner
Yeah.
in this situation, right?
There's the Atlantic.
Although it is funny, did you see the map of Los Angeles on the 4th of July weekend at like 8:30 at night? Because they were enforcing immigration raids, there was no traffic.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I guess there were a little more immigrants than we thought.
Well, I remember like during the lockdown days, I remember saying, "Man, this is great." There's no traffic or anything like that because I didn't care. We lived regularly,
Yeah.
but everyone else was terrified to go out. So I mean, again, it's a different stay-at-home law. Just like when I saw that when I was reading the mayor's comments, shelter in place. That's literally what he was saying. Here's an ICE agent saying that they're miserable. They're mission impossible is what he called it. Here's the quote right here. It's miserable. One career ICE official told me he called the job mission impossible. Here's this happened, I guess, a couple hours ago.
Are you the raid at the farms?
That there are questions as to how humanely this is being handled. Whether these people who are maybe here illegally, but whether they're being offered or can be pointed in the direction of a path to citizenship. There certainly is that criticism. But you also have Republicans at the same time accusing Democrats and those on the left of amplifying this rhetoric against federal agents and ICE agents. So we're seeing this finger pointing.
All right, Julia, we may have to step away really quickly here. The situation at the farm has escalated. It looks like a lot of tear gas and whatever this green smoke is as well. And a protester threw something toward the ICE officers there, but a lot of cars turning around and exiting. So it looks like something happened that forced that crowd to turn and run. Rich, are you?
Those are terrible images.
Yeah, there was an incident down here in Kings Mountain last week. I don't think we covered it, but they did a raid there, and it was just the families were outside, asking, "Please let my dad go" or something. And so it's like you said, it's a terrible situation. Here's the opposite part of it. MAGA mom locked up by ICE vows to never stop loving Trump in detention center call.
You must love the dear leader. We are at dear leader status.
Oh, it's way past that.
We are at dear leader status. We are essentially the people who are MAGAs and these are Catholics too, guys. Sorry if this is it's going to offend people that are idol worshiping the Trumpster.
Oh, it's nuts.
Coming up, the joke about the miracle in Pennsylvania coming up in 3 days. Watch Catholic X and YouTube on that day. There will be videos talking about the miracle of Trump surviving. Mm-hmm. And it's just absolutely nuts how that's going.
Well, this lady was born in Iran, but has been in the U.S. since she was 3 years old. She became a target for immigration and ICE officers due to crimes committed 17 years ago and was arrested in June as part of the president's controversial immigration crackdown. Again, remember during during Independence Day, they were all talking about the fake, watch out for the false flags, so they're already trying to make it up. So, hey, we're going to get Iran people. So, hey, how many of those happened? None, because none of that's going on. But if you're Iranian, and just because you're Iranian, you're automatically just like the Japs back in the day. Throw them into concentration in the prisons, throw them in, strip them civil rights, strip them. It's either freedom or not freedom. There's a book called "Why Not Freedom" by the Kennedy brothers. It goes into that, right? That's the Franklin line right there. If you risk security for for safety, you get nothing. Risk liberty for safety, you get nothing. And it's what are we getting? We're getting a tyrannical. It's past. I mean, we don't say fascism all. What happened with Attachment 201? That's by definition a fascist thing now. You got public companies working with the U.S. government. You can find that anything you want. I mean, I get it. That F word gets blown out of proportion. Everyone says
it's been beat to death, so nobody takes it seriously. But
it's like crying wolf. Now it actually is happening. And then obviously we talked about this with the Trump announced that he's working for a mass amnesty plan for illegal aliens after passing the big beautiful bill, which, well, I'll let Ron Paul. He had they had a great.
Oh, do I get to see the guy with the hair? Oh, I can't wait. I mean, come on, we're two beautiful bald men. We can make fun of the guy who just couldn't accept it. Sorry, man. I think
Dr.
great.
Paula was not a good day for Trump's base
I love
yesterday.
it.
Let's just put it that way. Because after having been promised the Epstein files for a long time, Attorney General Pam Bondi said, they're sitting right here on my desk. I just have to review it. Excuse me. So I just have to review it, and then we're going to release it. She also said she had seen tens of thousands of videos out there of the most horrific things that happened. Well, after all of this leading up to it, there was the announcement yesterday that there was no list. It didn't exist. There's no such thing as the Epstein.
I picked the wrong one, but it's still a
list. So people are asking, so why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail for trafficking people if no people were trafficked, if there were no clients? So that was a real blow, and I wasn't super invested in that because I sort of figured from the beginning that it was all an intelligence operation to entrap American politicians. Nevertheless, for the base that wanted to know this, it was very, very disappointing. And then you had Netanyahu come to town. The clown show came to town. They were sitting down to dinner. President Trump was asked a question. In fact, let's listen to the question, that first audio clip, that first video clip, if we can cue that up. He's asked the question about Ukraine.
Are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. They're getting hit very hard. We're going to have to send more weapons. Yeah, defensive weapons primarily, but they're getting hit very, very hard. So many people are dying in that mess.
So many people are dying, so we have to send more weapons to kill more people. That makes zero sense, number one. And number two, and we talked about this before, that the United States cannot be a co-belligerent and a mediator. Trump has this idea that he's going to mediate a peace between Russia and Ukraine. You can't do that when you're arming one side. It's completely illogical. It just completely seems to escape his consciousness that you can't do that,
Yeah, and I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't think it'll work out good for the American taxpayer.
Yeah, forgive me. I hit the wrong Ron Paul one. But anyway, they were talking about how it was his crowd, Jack and DC Drain.
Oh, all of them. Bannon, John Henry Weston.
Mass means everyone. Mass means everyone. What about your boss? Which goes into this Bondi thing going, we got to fire Bondi. Well, who's the boss?
Yeah.
How's this guy get his hands wiped clean? He's supposed to be in control of everything. He's your literally king. It's the no kings thing. He's our elected monarch. But yet, everyone else, no, he's not in charge. There's 48,016D chess going on in the background.
It's the deep state, Steve. If you don't accept that it's the deep state, then you're clearly not MAGA.
Anyway, to wrap up on the immigration thing, check out the post Abby Vuinstu brings up. They're quoting Bannon and Mike Davis of the Article 3 Project, and Bannon goes into it. Listen, if you're a strong believer in the 10th Amendment to federalism, I'd actually say I'd probably go even to the state rights further than even a little bit. I doubt it. Why would Gruesome Newsom, particularly for people who believe in states' rights and people who believe in federalism and believe in the 10th Amendment, is the most important amendment of all? Why? What Gruesome Newsom is doing in California is not that. It's when I say he's a neo-Confederate, I mean he's a neo-Confederate, sir. Davis, because we have talked about on your show for years, Steve, the Constitution is a loan agreement between we, the people, and our government, state government, federal government, tribal government. And we lend specific enumerated and divided powers to that federal government, including the president having the commander-in-chief power, including Congress having the power to control immigration, and including the president's ability, his duty to enforce our laws. All other powers not specifically in the Constitution belong to the states, and we, the people, as confirmed into the 10th Amendment. As he goes, I can hardly said it better myself, except for the part about Congress having the power to control immigration. And he goes back in the day when everything was about it was the states. That was a state matter. It clearly is a state matter according to U.S. Constitution as stated here. Obviously, we gone away from that. California independence hits record high. And because new poll says that 44% of California adults would vote for the state to leave the United States and become its fully independent nation, which the Independent California Institute, ICI, told Newsweek is a record high poll result for secession. Newsweek contacted Gruesome Newsom for comment via email Tuesday outside the regular office. Why that matters, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, because they get in, there's some great numbers in this, numbers you never even thought of before. And so as a solution to what's going on in California.
That is the ultimate. Didn't we not say that either last week or when Zohan Mandani was elected and everybody was freaking out? And we said the simple solution is divorce from the entire opposition. Text it. I know my man James knows he's got the flag in the bio. He's got the flag in the picture, man.
That's what reminded me to go. That's what he popped up a minute ago. Reminded me to check out that story real quick before I forgot.
Yeah, text it is the way. I think Flar Exit has their own movement going on.
A lot of people have a movement.
Honestly, Steve, we are so divided that this union doesn't exist anymore. As we've been kind of saying with everything else, it's red and blue. Whoever has power just smacks around the other group for 4 years or 8 years or whatever, and then they get into power. They slap the other group around for 4. It's an abusive relationship.
Yeah,
and the only reason everybody wants to stay together is like football games and World War II.
No one wants to get a divorce. They want a divorce and everything else, but they don't want a divorce on this. No, we got to stay away because we have to the Olympics.
Yeah, they want to be like Ken Paxton, whose wife divorced him.
Yeah,
and nobody actually wants to go.
The immigration thing. Okay, you want California to do this? Fine, break off. All the illegals can stay in California. That's a California problem. They can't cross over. Done.
Yep.
They don't want, if California doesn't want it, I'm totally fine with that. Guess what? I don't live in California, so I don't care. This is like the whole thing in New York City. Who's the mayor? I don't care. I don't go to New York City. Don't plan to ever go to New York City.
Yep. The way people talk about like our great American cities, and then you want to look at the people who are making those statements and you just want to say to them, well, what about your cities? What about your major cities? The guys, let's take this example, Steve, Daily Wire, the new hub of conservatism, Nashville, Tennessee. Instead of you guys complaining about New York City, Nashville, Tennessee is nice, but it's not perfect. My wife worked there for a while. I've driven through there. It is not a perfect place. It could be fixed. Memphis, Tennessee, if my girl Lou's in the chat, Memphis needs a whole heck of a lot of work, and that's still in the state of Tennessee. So why don't you stop worrying about New York, and why don't you fix Memphis?
Memphis isn't a place you want to break down at. It's you got to make the gangs and all that going on, and I don't think it's from MS-13.
Memphis makes Chicago almost look like a picnic, and nobody wants to talk about it. It's just one of these absolutely just. Everybody wants to worry about New York. Everybody wants to worry about LA. Everybody wants to worry about the major cities, and they don't live in the major cities. Oh, we can't lose them.
Yeah, it's sexy. Hollywood shows them. That's where the movies are, the iconic images, all that stuff. And then you get
my resident
what's his face? Who wrote the Bye Bye Miss American Empire?
I don't know. I'm having a brain fart right now.
Anyways,
anybody in the chat, help us out.
One of his lines is, everyone's probably heard the phrase before. He's got, if you don't leave, if you're stuck, if you never leave this city, you're stuck and you don't make anything useful. You got to make something useful for yourself. You got to get out of this town. You grew up in a small town.
That's ironic. My dad, that's the reason I made it to Texas, because my dad told me, you got to leave the state of Rhode Island. Even for a couple of years, you got to get out of here for a little bit, or you're just going to get sucked into being a Rhode Islander the rest of your life. So
if you don't make it, if you make something out of yourself by getting out of your small town. So he brings it up. If you haven't read the book, get it. It's fantastic on there. You thought, why is that the thing? If you stay and you're very good, this is your home. Why you got to get kicked out to what? To be a slave to a boss in New York City? Just do what you want to do at home. Be happy, live happy, work happy, and all that. And you'll be fine. But we got this mindset. It's just like when you went to high school, they probably told you not to go to trade
High
school.
school, they told you had to go to college.
Yeah, you have to go to college to get a better. You don't want to be a plumber like that. You waste your life away. Hence you got the dirty jobs, and everyone's going into that and making good money out of that. You don't need
those are
$100,000
the AI proof jobs right now.
Yeah, you don't need $100,000 debt to get a good job. You just have to do the thing. But yeah, it's. I mean, Trump comes out yesterday or today, going, "One nation under God."
Oh, that's all.
And that's Frederick Engels. One nation. His wet dream was one nation. Everything centralized into this one gigantic blob, and we embraced it. The 48ers from 1848, they came over, got into the Lincoln administration, did everything they could to get a centralized unit out of this, and they did a whale of a job. And it's the Bellamy Pledge with the one nation under God, the one nation thing. Under God came in the 1950s with the Knights of Columbus when they got it in. So you got to throw it in because now we're cool. Everything's cool. And that propaganda, communist propaganda, which nobody should ever put their hand over heart and swear to ever in their lives. That will get you talking. You go back into politics again. Go to a Knights of Columbus meeting and turn your back on that when they do that, or stay seated. You'll be kicked out in the street by the old guy in a cane that can't move. He'll find energy all of a sudden. Football games, they do the pledge. Clemson University, they do that. All this, but again, it's just constant thing. One nation, one nation, one nation. I'm your leader, not your governor, not your mayor. If it's a one nation, then forget about who's your mayor. Forget about your governor. Forget about everything and just say, everything's New York City. That's it. Fine.
Yep.
We're going to do everything the same way. Enjoy hell because that's what it will be, which is soon coming on.
And it's funny, like here in, we always have the phrase, "Don't California my Texas." Well, the easiest way to not California your Texas is to not be in the same blob that they are.
You see this?
Yeah, you and I talked about this real quick during the week.
Yeah, this sounds great. Oh, Trump wants to get rid of property taxes. That is not a power. He has no power or authority to do that. Do I like property taxes? No. Do I want property taxes? No. But he has 0.0 authority to do that at all. That's a state local thing. If Florida wants to ban property taxes, which they're thinking about doing, Florida can ban property taxes. If South Carolina wants to triple property taxes, that's South Carolina tripling property tax. Know how that wins? Federally, people move by their feet. If they want to leave South Carolina, they go to Florida. South Carolina will eventually go, we're losing everybody. We're going into the red. We better change stuff. What is people leaving for? They do a question. They were leaving because of property taxes. All of a sudden, there's a bill getting written up. We're getting rid of property taxes. People stop leaving. You put one blanket thing over nothing. That's how road 2.0 will eventually come in. That's how all this stuff's going to come down. One blanket thing. Because of us, they're doing it.
That's why I'm always the one who's the odd man out in the gun community with the discussion about we need national concealed carry across the country. I'm like, you are so stupid if you don't believe that they'll let it pass, and then within 5 years they're going to make the standard to get that license, the California test, and then none of us are going to be able to pass it, and it's not going to matter because you've stripped the state of any autonomy to hand those licenses out. Now we have, I think, like 46 or 47 states. I think North Carolina is about to either maybe or maybe not.
It got vetoed. It got taken down, but the supermajority could override the veto.
That's going to be the ceiling on it. And you know what? That is what it is. You can't. I should be able to carry in California. No, you shouldn't. And this is where a lot of people in the 2A community don't like me because they think, well, my Constitution, the Second Amendment protects my right to go anywhere in the country. And it's like, no, because there's 44 states that have it. And then there's 6 states that don't have anything. And that's a whole different discussion for another day.
Pull Dr. Gutzman on them and tell them they're a progressive hack.
Well, they just, the 2A community is court reliant on everything. Everything. They love their courts. They can't do anything on their own without a court telling them to do something.
That's what because I remember a church had an interview with Gutzman long ago, this 15 years ago, something like this. And the one line that Gutzman talks about was talking about the 14th, because it was back at that time was there was it a governor of Montana and he was getting money from some rich dude in New York. I forget the guy's name right now. And they were talking about this, that should never happen because the guy doesn't live in New York, but everything's nationalized that you get money from all over the place. Even in North Carolina, the last gubernatorial race, Soros and his son were giving money in. So, and he mentions it because of the 14th, it was Idaho and a gun thing, I think it was. Yeah, no, it was the New York guy was sending money to kill the movement for whatever arms bill was going down in Idaho or Montana, whatever. He has no reason to do that. He goes, again, the 14th Amendment, we got this. He goes, you're a 14th Amendment fan and corporista, you're a progressive hack. That's all it is. But and there's some good guys that I know that love the 14th. I mean, Judge Knapp's and a corporationista. I don't know why.
Some people, I mean, it was probably drilled into him at law school at some point that it was. And you know, if you're even the most conservative, anybody outside of Alito and Thomas, they've just been drilled into how the 14th Amendment is the miracle amendment and how it is the solution to all and every problem. And it's so ridiculous to see these people argue about these things when the clear solution is federalism first, which is returning power to states, right? Letting Texas do Texas and Florida do Florida and California. And then if that doesn't work, secede. I was watching a video somewhere sometime that the guy was like, the Constitution doesn't allow states to leave, and I had to shut the video off. And I really didn't want to listen to the video, but as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, this guy's a retard.
Yeah,
and then
we're dealing with an idiot now.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do this. Sorry, bud.
But you hear that all the time. Oh, they made a war about that. Oh, okay. So anytime
Texas v. White, Texas v. White, Texas v. White. And it's like, yeah, it's a precedent, homie. None of those precedents actually carry the force of law. But anyway.
Here's the USCCB has confirmed that the church will not endorse any political candidates for public office in any elections, despite a tax code change that has opened the door for houses.
Actually, it's not a change. It's not a change. What it is that the IRS has just come out and said, by the way, we won't enforce it. That's all they're saying. The law is still technically on the books. It's just that, right? I think I have a video on it. We actually watched it the other day. It's just that the IRS is coming out and saying, yeah, don't worry about it. You guys can totally keep doing that and everything's fine. Which is just setting up pastors and priests and whoever to get in a position where, oh, you're just going to let them come in one day, and after doing it for how many years or how many times, the IRS or whatever authority you want to have is going to come in and just say, nope, not anymore. You guys are all under arrest or whatever the case may be, and they'll just use their authority however it looks like.
Well, it would be nice if the pastors would just teach, not to harp on federalism again, but to teach subsidiarity and what is supposed to be going on instead of, say the one nation, this country, all this, because it's not if you look at the entire thing on it, you can't say anything blanket statement on any issue. There's different areas, different things. Hence why this is that. You want to make it one united thing, one uniform thing, then get rid of all the dioceses too. That makes same idea. Just get rid of all the dioceses. Have one bishop, and he's in control of the whole thing. Why you have to have all these bishops and all these little? It's the same principle. It's federalism in the church, subsidiarity in the same way. But with the head, except we got a head at the Pope doing everything else, which back in the day was less powerful than it was now. Now it's almost in the sense like what Jeb Smith writes about this in his Monarchy, Missing Monarchy book. Look at that. It's a very fascinating thing. He brings back from the Middle Ages all the way up today how power is growth from everything in the sense. It's the central command, we get one thing coming down. But still, if you want to talk about that, if the priest doesn't think, oh, we're just one blanket thing that we get rid of states, all right, get rid of the diocese too. Same idea, but you'll never hear them say that. No. Actually, we should have more, which again goes into we should have more states. We should have more dioceses. It literally is a parallel. It's the same thing.
If you saw the size of the Diocese of Austin, most of you would agree with Steve's statement there. Anyway, it's a minute.
The IRS just quietly made a massive change that could reshape American politics. And it starts in your church in a new...
there we go.
The IRS just quietly made a massive change that could reshape American politics. And it starts in your church in a new court filing. The IRS confirmed that churches and other tax-exempt houses of worship can now legally endorse political candidates during religious services without violating campaign rules. Let's break this down. This all started with a lawsuit filed by 2 Texas churches and a group of Christian broadcasters. They argued that the IRS was unfairly targeting them under something called the Johnson Amendment, which bans nonprofits, including churches, from engaging in political campaigning. But in a surprising move, the IRS backed off. They told the court that internal speech during worship, like a pastor endorsing a candidate from the pulpit, does not count as political activity under current IRS code. In other words, your pastor could say, "Vote for Trump," during a sermon, and that's now considered protected religious expression, not political campaigning. And here's the kicker. The IRS admitted they've generally not been enforcing the Johnson Amendment inside churches anyway. That makes this more than just legal clarification, it's a signal. The government is basically saying, we are not going to get involved in what pastors say to their congregations, at least not during services. Critics say this opens the door to blurring the line between church and state even more. Supporters say it's about protecting free speech and religious liberty. So where do you...
So there you go. That's what it is. Nothing there says the law is gone. It just means that they're not enforcing it right now, which means, honestly, Steve, we can wrap this into what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. The Texas churches filed it so they could say vote for Trump. And they did it so they could endorse their one and only. So it's just how everything seems to be connecting in that regard. But yeah, decentralization is the key to it. Most people don't want decentralization. They want more centralization because people are getting, I mean, this is a fact with AI and ChatGPT. People are getting dumber and people are getting lazier because we have all these amenities. Technology has made us lazier and it's made us dumber. And so the byproduct of that now, Steve, is that people just don't care. They're just like, whatever. I want to be able to, say vote for Trump from the pulpit. You guys are denying my free speech to do so. And the government's like, sure, whatever, do it. And then when President BBL comes in, we're just going to shut down all your churches. After you get a couple years you get to say vote for Vance in 2028. And once BBL wins, she's just going to come in and shut all your stuff down. So I hope it was worth it.
I heard Bibby when you said that, so it made me think of this.
I mean, it could be Bibby. Who knows?
Then the Yahoo said that brings suitcases of laundry from Israel to wash the White House. I hope to God that's true. Did I lose you? Did you laugh so much?
No, my mic. This is why I actually don't use StreamYard anymore. I went to a new thing called Restream because it does this to me constantly now. It constantly switches me in and out. So I don't use.
I thought you laughed so hard you hit the button or something.
I actually did laugh so hard. It was just ironically timed. I was saying that's BB's summer home.
I hope that's true. Like, who do you hand it off to? I mean, here, Don, I need this. Make sure this is permanent press.
Donald, take my laundry. Here you go.
And because I mentioned Bibby, he announces today he's ready for a permanent end to the Gaza killings. As long as Hamas lays down its weapons, Gaza is demilitarized and Hamas left with no governing or military capabilities, which, translation, nothing's going to stop. More people are going to die because that's just retarded.
Because the peace president's going to allow it.
Yes, Mr. Peace President gets that
Peace President.
weapons to Ukraine.
Did you hear that Bibi actually said he's going to recommend him for a Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah. It was the Pakistani guy did it first.
You will bomb Iran, and I will give you Peace Prize.
Yeah. And then Bibi comes over on Monday and tells him to do that. And then at the same time, Joe Trump or Donald Biden looks at the camera and says, we're going to keep giving weapons to Ukraine. Promises made, promises kept, baby.
Promises made. This is what I voted for. Hashtag.
I voted for this.
This is what I voted for.
He's going to turn his cheerleaders into pretzels trying to figure out what to do over this.
I mean, I guess we're setting ourselves up perfectly for, speaking of turning them into pretzels. Monday was Sunday. I think it was Sunday night into Monday was the release of this unsigned, undated DOJ memo that said, essentially, yeah, the list, there is no list for you.
We're going to break off his arms.
Yeah.
Oh, give me that gate key.
Yeah.
This
that
video
list.
where Pam Bondi goes on to address this question, in my understanding, for the first time.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was...
We'll start with this one.
The FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding...
Notice she doesn't wear her crucifix anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's a telltale sign right there. Got to give her credit for that. At least she took it off.
To be fair, last week she didn't have it on for Israeli photos. She was around all the Israelis, so she took her crucifix
the
off.
death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
I got it.
And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice...
Here comes just like KGB from last year and all this. She switches the mode right into not answering.
She might as well have said circle back.
Yes.
They are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis...
I thought of like South Park. Can I finish?
This on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. They promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would
wish they would have gone back and just hammered her the rest of the time. Okay, but why not this? Here's the
sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, but that's maybe what you meant by that, but that's not what was asked. They didn't ask, is the Epstein file going to be released? The question that we showed last night specifically was, are you going to release the client list? This is what Donald Trump Jr. and J.D. Vance and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi have been demanding the release of this specific client list. And in response to that question, are you going to release the client list? She said, yeah, it's sitting on my desk for review. And now we're told there is no client list. What was sitting on her desk? She said, no, that's not what I meant. I meant the entire Epstein file. But there's so much more to it than this one specific comment. There's so many comments from all of these people like that. So let's see what the rest of what she had to say.
Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day.
Nobody wants that released. Nobody asked for that to be released. She's all acting like all, noble, like she's strong.
Don't we have AI right now, Steve? I don't mean to, we'll bring that back up. Can't you blur out faces and stuff? I mean, they blur out everything else.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's get back to Glenn. Go, Glenn, go.
No, she doesn't care how many people demand to watch the videos of Jeffrey Epstein having sex with young kids or the child porn. Nobody asked for that. That was never part of what was demanded. Not by her, not by anyone else interested in this case. It's a complete straw man. How dare you demand the release of disgusting child porn? We're not going to ever show that. No one wants that. No one cares about that. No one's seeking that.
To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Oh, okay, that's it on Epstein. Do you see what this decree? No more on Epstein. No more. Okay. This is, I only saw the part about Trump, the excerpt of Trump. I didn't hear Pam Bondi's answer. But I want you to note something here. She was asked a very specific question, which, as I keep saying, is a key question, if not the key question. For me, it's the key question, because it's never been answered, including in their statements yesterday, which is, did Jeffrey Epstein work with a foreign or domestic intelligence agency? And you notice they're not answering that. She said, I don't have any knowledge of that. We'll have to get back to you, as though that wasn't even something that they looked at. But we're never going to get an answer on that, because Trump is saying, how dare you even ask about it? Pam Bondi is saying that's it on Epstein. There's evidence to connect Jeffrey Epstein to Israel. And we went over it last night. I'm not saying I believe or know that he was working in some way with the Israeli government or intelligence agencies in that government.
Here's the Trump one.
Some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for an American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the staff?
Yeah, sure. If
could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
I wonder what Pam's writing down.
That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah,
First, to back up on that.
It was jaw-dropping for most people. Like, wow, you're really saying that? You didn't have to say anything. But he went that way. And you just sent me this one.
So this was dropped today, Steve, which is just the mind breakneck speed at which they're just going, tell them we're still looking at it. just to shut them up, because people are like, this is ridiculous, dude. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is despite, and I'm going to drop 2 videos right now, Steve, just real quick. Our favorite telling you this isn't right.
Once again, we're told now, all the way from the heights of the United States Attorney General, that the Epstein case is closed. There's no more information on Jeffrey Epstein. Why do you guys keep asking about Jeffrey Epstein? She says that we don't need to hear about Jeffrey Epstein ever again. You know what this?
The king of the back pedal in his glory
sounds like? I'm going to tell you exactly what this sounds like. Pam Bondi sounds like Hillary Clinton right now, saying, at this point, what does it even matter, when she was talking about Benghazi? All right. This is not how you treat the American people. This is not how you treat basic communications. This is not how you treat your voters and your supporters. And certainly, by the way, myself personally, I feel very angry.
Jack made this into himself. We're talking about a list of kids that were victimized, and Jack made it about himself.
Upset, used every word you want to know, from having gone to the White House and receiving this binder full of baloney that was completely publicly available information already, that we were told was new information on Epstein. It wasn't. We were told that more information was coming. There wasn't. You claimed that you had the list on your desk. You didn't. And none of it came out. And now when people have the obvious response of asking a question about it, you get in their faces and you tell them to stop asking? No. You sound like Hillary Clinton right now, and this isn't what you promised the American people.
But thank you, Jack, for participating in the live.
Don't care about the
Here's
Epstein.
Julie Kelly, who I respect her work on the January 6th stuff, but she got the marching orders and she went straight after it.
I also don't care about the Epstein information. I don't care about those files. I think it's irrelevant. No one is going to be charged. Everyone got away with it. And I would much rather dig into January 6th, much rather dig into.
Like that. You've got to get, no.
And then
I just have never cared about it personally.
Then what's his face says 5 minutes of garbage that you'll never hear. And so Jack telling you how mad he is, yet he got the binder and he said, I'm going to go through it in 45 minutes on my show. It's like, you can't do that and then get mad at people. You were complicit. You were part of the lies. You could have asked Pam Bondi. You could have looked through the binder and been like, Pam, this is all old. You could have looked in and been like, this is all old information. What are you talking about? And nope, he ran out there with the most transparent administration ever and pushed the lie. And yet now they're all running, folks. They're running because they have no principles. They're running because they all got thrown under the bus, and they're all trying to just, oh, I'm still a good conservative. I'm still good MAGA. I got whatever. You found out this week how many of your so-called influencers are just paid shills.
I mean,
that's Catholic shills too, folks. That's Catholic.
He goes after Bondi on that. Oh, you did this. What'd your boss just do? He was the one that said, hey, wait up. We were still talking about this. It just shows they have no spine or huevos. I mean, if he's going to go after Bondi, hey, Jack, you scared? Literally, Trump says exactly that right before Bondi says that. He's fine with it. Her boss told her to go say it, but they ain't got the nuts to say it because they know they're not going to be able to go down to Mar-a-Lago anymore. They won't have their fame and fortune anymore. They will be just like anybody else doing a show like this. And again, that's why I do not care about ever cozying up with these guys again. You want to sell out to Trump and all that? Fine. You reject your principle, you sell out, and you go in for the cash money. I get it. It's easy to do. But if you have to,
sometimes I wish I did. There's fleeting moments, but sometimes I'm like, yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
No, I could never. I know you could never do it. I know I could never do that, but it's easy to see. I mean, here's a post that Ken Clapperson had. Jeffrey Epstein had 1,000+ victims, and then you got the MAGA hats are now burning because Nick apparently told everybody to burn their hat. Here's one of them. Where did I put it?
It's under me.
It's under you?
The video, yeah, I can hit it.
Super Trump supporter in 2016. I voted for him in 2020. I didn't vote for him in 2024 because his rhetoric got super gay and I felt like he betrayed the base, and he was talking about implementing more immigration, and I saw that he wasn't going to promise that we wouldn't go to war with Iran. Then he got elected and it's been nothing but disappointment after disappointment. We've bombed Iran. We're increasing H-1B visas, replacing American workers. There's no mass deportations. Now he's talking about amnesty. That's not really amnesty for farmers. We're probably going to go into an all-out war with Iran eventually, and now the straw that broke the camel's back was this whole entire Epstein cover-up, which is super gay. So I'm pretty sure Trump is banging kids, or he's at the very least protecting people that banged kids, which I'm just not really cool with. So I have 3 of my MAGA hats here today, and we're gonna burn them. Yeah, so these are basically yarmulkes now, and this is a Christian country, so we're not gonna play with these anymore. MAGA hats are off. America First hats are on.
They just do that. I mean, there's a lot of people doing it. Hey,
let's be real. That's like $150 he's flushing down the toilet, but still,
it is pretty expensive.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Maybe just put them away.
Because you brought up AI on one of the videos, here's Lee.
We just played the AI video. That was an AI video about the IRS.
A test.
Probably.
One could say it's the ultimate test to see if you're going to believe anything that this administration says.
The Trump administration is releasing a video in both raw and enhanced versions that it says indicates no one entered the area of the Manhattan prison where Epstein was held the night he died in 2019. This is the video that the FBI is pointing to as evidence. You know, the video that supposedly didn't exist just a few years ago because all of the footage was accidentally deleted. But guess what? We magically found it again, and here it is. There's also no blackmail operation except for all the alleged blackmail schemes that have already been reported by the media. And I might also add that Epstein was definitely not a spy, except for a direct quote from a former US attorney saying that he was told, quote, Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. I mean, it literally cannot get any more Orwellian than this. The party is telling you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears, and it was their final, most essential command.
He did a video. I guess it wasn't it, but he ran it through a thing, and it popped up. This is AI. The video of the jail prison cell. Here's a Warfaris.
This is a fact. I have seen. Remember, I was accused falsely, and the Epstein, and ultimately I was completely cleared. The woman admitted that she may have mistook me for somebody else and withdrew all of her lawsuits. And so from day one, from the day I was accused, I said I want every document out because I knew every document would prove I was innocent. So let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. And they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them. But I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them. And that's wrong.
Just out of curiosity, without names, are these politicians, business leaders, both?
They're everything. And let me tell you, a lot of them are, at least one of them is somebody who was accused. Others are accusers. And the judges have said, if somebody calls themselves a victim, we're not going to give any information about them. But they may not be victims. They may be perpetrators.
And here's
וגם בזיכרונות שלי על אנשים בכירים שהשתתפו בפגיעות טקסיות.
This is an Israeli that got outed from something similar.
בכל רחבי הארץ על רופאים, רבנים בכירים, אנשי משטרה, אנשי חינוך, וגם על כמה חברי כנסת מהעבר וגם כמה חברי כנסת מכהנים בהווה שלקחו חלק בפגיעות כאלה מקצוות שונים של הקשת הפוליטית. מובן מאליו.
כרגע שיש כמה חברי כנסת,
כן,
העבר וההווה.
היה סיפור שהתפרסם, אני יודעת על עוד כמה. מובן מאליו כי מול אנשים חזקים כל כך, ובפרט כשמדובר על פגיעות בלתי נתפסות, רוב הנפגעות אינן מעיזות לדבר, ולכן ברור לי שעשרות הנפגעות שהגיעו אליי הם טיפה בים של אלפי נפגעי פגיעה.
And then we brought up last week or 2 weeks ago. Here's the Franklin cover-up. Just a little description of it. The shutdown of Omaha, Nebraska's Franklin Community Federal Credit Union, raided by federal agencies in November 1988, sent shockwaves all the way to D.C. $40 billion was missing. Credit union's manager, Republican Party activist Lawrence E. Larry King Jr., behind whose rise to fame and riches stood powerful figures in Nebraska politics and businesses and the nation's capital. In the face of opposition from local and state law enforcement, from the FBI, and from the powerful Omaha World Herald newspaper, a special Franklin Committee of Nebraska legislator launched its own probe. What looked like a financial swindle soon exploded into a hideous tale of drugs, Iran-Contra money laundering, a nationwide child abuse ring, and ritual murder. 19 months later, legislative community's chief investigator died suddenly. And you've heard that phrase before, and violently, like more than a dozen other people linked to the Franklin case. Author John DeCamp knows the Franklin scandal from the inside. In 1990, his DeCamp memo first publicly named the alleged high-ranking abusers. Today, he's an attorney for two of the abuse victims. DeCamp lays bare not only the crimes, but the cover-up, a textbook case on how dangerous the corruption of institutions of government, the press, can be in its sweep and in what it portends for the nation. The Franklin cover-up followed the ugly precedent of the Warren Commission. And again, so if you don't think that what you're hearing is possible, that stuff went on 30, 40 years ago. And most people have no clue that went down.
Nope. And I get, and the frustration from the people who voted for Trump is that they finally wanted some kind of release from all of this, because it's talked about, and finally, and Trump, I had some videos, I don't have it, where he mentions it on the campaign trail. He's like, yeah, there's that island, and maybe we'll release the list. Just even saying maybe gave people the hope that, hey, there's going to be some kind of release against these people that have been terrorizing and doing these evil, atrocious acts for so long. And then it's kind of just like, nope, that and the Diddy trial back to back. It's kind of like, guys,
here's Billo. Did you see the Billo line?
Go.
President Trump, man to man, eye to eye on St. Patrick's Day about this and the Kennedy files and the King files. It was all one conversation. And he said, and I agree, there are a lot of names associated with Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct. They maybe had lunch with him or maybe had some correspondence for one thing or another. If that name gets out, those people are destroyed, because there's not going to be any context. Media doesn't care about context. So you can't do that. You can't destroy human beings by putting out the files, whatever they may be.
It's a weak argument, but I get it.
I guess it's something.
Donald Trump has been friends with Jeffrey Epstein for years. In 2002, he told New York Magazine that he's, quote, known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. Close quote. Jeffrey Epstein claimed he introduced Donald Trump to Melania. Epstein is known for grooming beautiful women for powerful men. On July 6, 2019, Epstein was arrested. 2 weeks later, he was murdered in his jail cell, all during President Trump's first term. Shortly after Trump began his second term, political agents and useful idiots posed for the cameras with DOJ binders, as if justice was coming.
I love that line.
The binders.
And nothing followed, until this week, when we were told that the DOJ and the FBI concluded that Epstein had no client list and died by suicide. While this isn't fooling the awakening masses, political agents and useful idiots began doing their best to defend Trump and steer everyone towards immigration, where the solution will obviously be the digital ID for every U.S. citizen. The overwhelming majority of U.S. government representatives are the recipients of hundreds of millions of dollars paid out by AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were clearly part of a sexual blackmail operation run by the Mossad and the CIA to further own the American government. This is why our government officials are all on board with the genocide being committed by the U.S. and Israel.
Do you think that there can be a two-state solution that creates an independent?
I don't know. I'd ask Mimi that question. You have the greatest man in the world to answer that age-old question, two-state. Go ahead. You give him your honest answer.
I think Palestinians should have all the powers to govern themselves, but none of the powers should threaten us. And that means that certain powers, like overall security, will always remain in our hands. Now, that is a fact. And no one in Israel will agree to anything else, because we don't commit suicide. We want life. We cherish life for ourselves, for our neighbors. And I think we can work out a peace between us and the entire Middle East with President Trump's leadership. And by working together, I think we can establish a very, very broad peace that will include all our neighbors.
When Pam Bondi was asked about all this, Trump couldn't help but interrupt her and show frustration that anyone was concerned about his old friend of 15 years.
One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the stabbing?
Yeah, sure.
If I could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
And Pam Bondi suggested that the child porn they have in evidence was Epstein's personal collection that he downloaded from the internet and nothing at all to do with blackmail.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot.
Anyway, you get it, and it's very frustrating.
Yep, and that's why people are obviously so angry, and it's absolutely well founded, because they were given a little bit of hope, Steve. As I keep saying, they were given a little bit of hope that, hey, we're going to shed some light on this, and there might be some justice. And no, you're not getting it. So sorry, sucker. And that's why people are visible. I'll even tell you this much. If they had never said anything, if Pam Bondi never opened her mouth, I think people would have dealt with the bombing of Iran because it was like a one-off thing. They could have MAGA coped it away. They could have. But then they came up right after this, and they were like, yeah, you're not getting this either. It's just, and then they're like, oh yeah, and then there's that. There's the Iran bombing. There's the Epstein list. There's the Amnesty. People have been pretty much just, we're done. And I get it. And as I think we've said on this program, hopefully this is finally the thing that pulls the wool back over people's eyes, or pulls the mask off to, hey, your problems aren't going to be solved in DC. You're never going to get your king that's going to fix everything for you.
Now they're talking this out. I don't know if you saw this.
Americans have urgent and important questions about geoengineering and contrails. The American public deserves and expects honesty and transparency from their government when seeking answers. But for years, people who asked questions in good faith were dismissed, even vilified by the media and their own government. That era is over.
So I'd like to be hopeful, because RJK has talked about that. DJT has talked about that, even though, thank you, RFKJ, for this one right here. U.S. FDA grants full approval. Moderna's mRNA COVID-19 injection for children aged 6 to 11 years, 6 months to 11 years. Thank you, Kennedy.
Yep. Maha.
I don't trust them doing the right thing about contrails to save anything on this. But they're bringing this up because, as someone brought up earlier, there's a lot of flooding going on.
Mm-hmm. I got some stuff on that too.
Here's the last 5 days, 13 states experienced flooding based on available posts on X. Texas, North Carolina, New Mexico, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Illinois, apparently Chicago got creamed the other day, Massachusetts, Virginia, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Iowa, Maryland, Wisconsin. Now, here's some video of Durham, North Carolina, where the Duke Blue Devils are. There's, I don't know where this is, Central North Carolina. I think it was Chapel Hill that they meant to have right here. And here's our boy, CEO of weather modification company, reveals cloud seeding operations were conducted in Texas just 2 days before a deadly flood.
Give me, if you don't mind, give me the screen here for a second. I got a bunch of stuff on that. So you have this right here from January 28, 2025, the minutes. Consider and take action to approve the agreement for cloud seeding professional services between Rainmaker Technological Corporation and West Texas Weather Modification Act. There's a Weather Modification Act of 1967 in the state of Texas that gives them all of this. And Steve, if you look at this, you have different projects. You have the West Texas Weather Modification Association, the South Texas Weather Modification Association, the Panhandle Groundwater Conservation District, the Trans Pico Weather Modification Association, the Rolling Plains Water Enhancement. All of these things have been happening in one way, shape, or form since 1967. In fact, you can go to the West Texas Weather Modification Association page where they tell you what they do, and they tell you where they're actually going to put their cloud seeding technology. And so, yes, it's not a question of if cloud seeding takes place. It's just, do you live in one of the areas where they do it? Because it's absolutely 100%. I will confess right now, I kind of used to chuckle every time Steve would talk about chemtrails. And then, my state got flooded out. So I'm like, well, I guess that's what I get for being a jerk on that one. So it's like, it is what it is in that regard. But we've been doing it. And Ruidoso, New Mexico is in that list, right? Ruidoso got flooded out.
New Mexico, I hammered the other day, same thing. River came up in 26 feet in 30 minutes type deal thing, just like the Texas thing. But now chemtrails and this are two different things. Even though our Jason calls me Murphy, hits me up, goes, you know what? I'm starting to believe you now. Same thing. There's a lot. This is, like you said, opening a lot of eyes with the Epstein thing. This is opening a lot of eyes with other people. Hence why the EPA guy is probably coming out saying this. Here is the weird thing about Mr. Rainmaker is he thinks it's God's will. See if the video plays.
And again, I truly am heartbroken about what has happened, but want to make it abundantly clear that cloud seeding was not involved in any capacity.
Oh yeah,
I just showed you the minutes that he was approved to be used.
And they did say that they stopped cloud seeding 2 days before. Now the thing is, we don't know how long the stuff lasts in the atmosphere on this, because what they're doing is they're feeding a cloud, literally feeding a cloud to get more out of it. Mm-hmm. That's why there's floods when they're trying to get rain to come here, and there's floods over here because they can't control it all like that. Like Australia was having floods in areas that didn't need flooding.
Japan had some too.
UABs have floods all the time because of this. But yeah, so I don't know 100%. Is it a factor? Heck yeah. Of course. Is it 100%? No one has a clue on how long those things stay in there. Plus, the cloud moves, dissipates, goes away. But is that stuff still in the air for the next cloud to come through? Because they're all blaming the cutbacks for not giving them a warning. A river goes up that fast, and that is not normal.
And it happens in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and I don't have it download because I didn't want.
By the way, you can't really trust a guy who looks like he's cosplaying as a 90s country music star, as Lou sang in the chat. So
apparently this happened in 1987, the Guadalupe River, same thing, same flood.
But remember, Steve, they've been doing this since 67.
Yeah.
So who knows if the Guadalupe River, I'm not saying it is, it could have been a result of, and that this stuff isn't regulated. The Rainmaker guy, there's a video of him in Florida actually protesting Ron DeSantis's bill. He actually came out and had a video about that. He says, well, everything's regulated and this, that. Well, I guess you're going to have to regulate it a little more to see how much you can put in versus not versus any of this other kind of stuff, because clearly they don't have a clue of what they're doing. It's really all just guesstimation because they're firing this stuff into the clouds and they're like, last time it wasn't bad. Well, every weather pattern is a little bit different.
Can listen to longer form interviews that you have done about some of the safety and research that you've done on what you use to cloud seed. Now, I want you to please address a larger question, which is one that is somewhat broad and perhaps even religious. But are you playing God? Are you messing with things that you shouldn't be messing with when it comes to the weather?
I get this question all the time, and I totally think it makes sense to ask it. My intention is to serve God. I think that in Genesis 1:26 or 28, and then
he's like
Psalms
Ted
and the rest
Cruz.
of the Bible, God tells us to take dominion over and steward creation, both for our sake, creation's itself, and then to honor Him. And so if there are droughts and we have the tools to mitigate the damage done by them for our sake and for nature itself, then we should deploy those for the sake of tending to and stewarding the world. And if we weren't to do that, if we were to ban cloud seeding wholesale, despite knowing that it's safe, despite knowing it could help alleviate these problems, we'd be abdicating our God-given responsibility to be stewards of the world.
Okay, let's address what.
So man-made climate change is now being God's will on this. I mean, there's fluctuations in the weather because of all the contrails going on and screwing up. I mean, before we got 104 degrees this past week, and it was 104, 103. It was just miserably hot. I mean, most everyone's strawberry plants died. The peach trees here are really getting creamed because of it, which goes into the food thing about this. It's all connected on this. There's poison coming down the ground. You're scorching the plants that live here regularly, but now it's so darn hot and some of the extremes that because of this, now you get these droughts after a rainy season. You can't prepare anything anymore. And you get this because they're screwing with the weather. They're playing God. And this guy admits, it's my duty that if there's a drought. Remember that was the guy the comedian that would hit the watermelon?
Gallagher.
Well, it's his line, if there's people starving in Africa, get them out of Africa. Get them away from it. Doesn't grow here. Go somewhere else, Hey, let me go to the Mojave Desert. Hopefully they'll have some cloud seeding go on so we can get some rain.
My buddy Brian, he works for one of the conservation areas here in Texas. He could tell you all about how they're pretty much told how this stuff is supposed to work and all these other kinds of things. And he's been pretty key when I've been looking into the flood and stuff down here. And you're right, Steve. If there's been a drought for 5 years and then you dump however much rain on it, the ground cannot absorb it.
Yeah.
So it just goes straight down. And
because it's not like they're asking the what they spray in. It's not like they say, all right, we want 5 more liters of water to come out. No, we just suck it all out. You get whatever's coming out of this thing. Now they use it in Colorado to help with the snow for ski lifts. Because we got to be stewards of God's thing. We got to be able to get some more snow for the guys that make some more money for the ski lifts. But this guy is just I think he got started by Bill Clinton. And he's all about doing this and saying, anybody that's changing the weather or screwing with the weather needs their head. He's throw them in alligator or Alcatraz, whatever.
We were supposed to switch to paper straw, Steve, because of the weather modification, because that was impacting the weather. Now you're telling me, on the other hand, we need to be able to seed the clouds so the lakes can be full for the 4th. That's what we got to do. We got to make sure the lakes are good. So
when I saw this, it reminded me of Helene.
I played this too.
Is flooding a natural event? I'm not so sure. There are at least 27 deceased and 20 girls missing after the Guadalupe River unexpectedly surged 26 feet in under an hour in the middle of the night, triggering an unusually catastrophic flash flood that gave nobody any warning. Mainstream media says it was a freak natural disaster. Intense rain, steep terrain, climate change, and bad luck. But they're ignoring one critical detail. The storm didn't move. It stayed parked over the same area for nearly 22 hours. Any storm parked in a single area for that long would cause significant damage like this. Check this out. I run a radar show on my website, arianamasters.com, where I review tower and trail activity every single day. And look at what I found for my July 3rd show. Radar from July 3rd shows a circular storm cell spinning in place from 8 p.m. Central to almost 8 p.m. yesterday evening on the 4th, with continual rain persisting in the aftermath. At the same time, wind data shows something striking: a total dead zone over central Texas, while normal air currents flowed freely around it. So the question is, what kept the storm from moving? Now here's the science Plain and simple, storms are powered by low-pressure systems that suck in air and moisture. These systems normally travel across regions with the help of jet streams or other large-scale winds. But high-pressure zones do the opposite. They push air outward and block storms from entering. A storm trying to enter a high-pressure zone is like a canoe trying to paddle a boat upstream into a powerful current. So here's where it gets interesting. Technology like can heat the atmosphere using microwave or radio frequency pulses. And when you heat a column of air, it becomes denser, forming an artificial high pressure zone. If you theoretically did this around the edges of a storm system, you could trap it. And if I were headed, I'd say this is possibly what happened over Texas yesterday. Radar shows ring-shaped emissions around the storm core stayed locked with its edges flared, a known side effect of pressure containment. Wind patterns confirm the storm was surrounded by still air, like a bubble. Climate change wouldn't lock a storm in place for nearly 22 hours, but microwave-induced high pressure can. Look, with 27 dead and dozens of children still missing, we deserve answers.
By the way, that totals up to about, I think, 109 to 115 who have died at this point. So pray for the repose of all their souls.
Dude, that was just like Helene. It's just that was the same thing. It stayed right on top of us and just moved.
Or Hurricane Harvey, like
Harvey.
Brian was talking about a couple years ago, where just people are like, this thing's just sitting there and it's just dumping rain. That never happens.
That's what. And then we have I put it up on Twitter yesterday saying that, hey, do you see this box right here? I live right here over this box. The local media was all about saying this is coming and it's just going to sit. And we went on we went on a walk with the kids.
Thank you, James.
And ride the bikes, and we're standing at the bottom of where this neighborhood is at the bottom of the cul-de-sac. Way back there is Lake Wiley, and you could hear the siren. Literally was right behind someone's house. We're talking to somebody who lives in the neighborhood, and what in the world was that? It was the flood. It was a little warning they were just testing out. And then look on local news. Watch out for flood watch, flood this. That really was pushing it. And they were saying it's just going to sit on top of everyone for a little bit. Now I got St. Peter Martyr Palm, so we literally got just a drizzle here. When the hurricane came through, I lost the pepper plant. That was it. And, flooding everywhere else. I lost the pepper.
So yeah, that's it's absolutely crazy the fact that this storm in Texas has blown the lid off, and I will use that phrase. This concept that yes, the weather is being modified. It may not be chemtrails, but there is active weather modification taking place. Texas actually has bureaus and a law and an entire thing set up for it. And, since we've been doing it since the 60s, Steve, eventually it is going to mess up climate and things. We were worried about using air fresheners because our spray cans, because it was going to deplete the ozone. At the same time, we were cloud seeding and blowing up clouds to make bigger rain.
So South Park made a spoof about that. Had butters with hairspray, just spraying them, going
the aerosol. We can't use aerosol cans and plastic straws because we're going to destroy the environment. At the same time, we're sending C-130s through clouds to make them bigger. So explain.
It all goes to the data centers, which needs what? A ton of water. So this is all striving into this idea too.
And cold water pressure in the kitchen. This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah, and this is what's in all the pipes. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
Nope.
I'm here in Mansfield, Georgia, driving by Meta's new 2 million square foot data center.
Atlanta
facility.
got flooded yesterday.
Facilities like this are being used to power things like ChatGPT and other AI tools that are becoming integrated into our daily life.
Data centers, going to be a very hot item.
This entire supercomputer is built to power Grok.
We see data centers as the most exciting asset class.
Meta is building a 2 gigawatt plus data center that is so large it would cover a significant part of Manhattan.
But data centers come with big costs.
From light and noise pollution to the environmental impacts, to the potential rising costs of energy bills, these facilities put extraordinary demand on the power grid and require entirely new infrastructure.
Oh my God.
They should be responsible for that, not us.
Search the internet for profits that Meta has made, Amazon, Microsoft. They can afford to pay for their own generation.
Your house is here, and the data center's right there.
It's less than 400 yards.
Beverly and Jeff Morris bought their home an hour's drive from downtown Atlanta in 2016, but their roots in the community run much deeper.
Being in the country has always just been my peace and my therapy. When we found this place, we decided that this was it. It was perfect.
I was actually raised probably 5 miles from here. Felt like coming home.
The data center that's now the Morris' next door neighbor happens to be owned by Meta, the company you know for Facebook and Instagram, but has also been breaking into artificial intelligence. They started construction on this data center campus in 2018.
Definitely changed everything. They destroyed the environment, taking down all the trees across the road.
Beautiful pines, beautiful forest.
The light pollution is...
We don't have to have a night light in the house. You can walk around the house at night and see everything. It's that bright.
And all
people want to know
all
why
those guys need water for that thing to cool everything down too.
Yep. That's so Gronk can give you racist posts.
That was the thing where I checked out Raleigh because Raleigh and Durham and Chapel Hill's up in that area going, why has they got hit back-to-back days like that? And they're trying to get a data center up there, but it's on pause for the last 3 months. I don't know if that was part of it, just trying to show, hey, we can get you water or something. Maybe.
Yeah. Or they're trying to offset the amount of water that's being taken so they can keep, the water tables full. Yeah, it's all a vicious cycle. Now, Rachel, that's a good question. A lot of people can't, a lot of people that maybe those people have lived there their entire life and they sunk all their money into that property and they just don't have the ability to move.
Yeah, I mean, down the street from me is a farmer's market. Lady has a little farm. They sell produce inside. And when domains come in, they're going to kick her out of that. She's in the black, never been in debt. Because they're putting a traffic circle in, they're forcing her to move. Now, will they be able to get anything and stay in the black or not? Like those people, they got a farm. How many farms are available? Are they in the black? Do they want to buy something, put themselves in, is the property affordable? So, I mean, I don't know. I'd put some big trees out there and just try to block out all that.
You can ask Steve about how easy it is to buy a house right now, how affordable it is to buy a house right now. So first of all, you got to find somebody to buy your house, which would be difficult enough unless you want to sell it to BlackRock or Vanguard or like the Facebook.
I was watching, if anybody in Florida can find this out too, Reventure app channel had talked about how people in Florida, if they're trying to sell, they have to write a check to sell. So it's not just a losing money. They gotta write a check again with that while they lose it. So,
yeah,
but for people like me on that, it'd be we're not going to if the prices go down another year, it would be all right. But the people that are trying to sell now, they're going to get hosed.
Yeah, they're underwater even if they are in the black because they're not going to get the price they need to finance a move. And if you've lived there for 40, 50 your entire life, you got to uproot now and leave because a bunch of tech nerds want to throw some stuff up. It's kind of ridiculous. Let's see. I'm looking. The reason I'm not paying attention, we got a pretty active chat going on in the Rumble, so I want to make sure those guys. We want to make sure our Rumble viewers are paid attention to. Like somebody just said, I can't say Habakkuk -3, so there should be lots of power left over for those electric cars. That's right, because Elon needs it. Or the Slate, your little Slate truck.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is that technological future that's being shoved down all of our throats, and people don't have a say in it. and governments are more than happy to because they want the money. They'd rather take the money from Meta and Amazon and destroy all of your livelihood because they're going to make more money from them because they get their money from government contracts than what your property taxes or your taxes could ever cover.
Yeah,
So
they may say they don't know
fine.
what's going on, but they're either ignorant or just they're in the bag. One of the two.
Yeah. No answer is a good answer on that one. No answer is a good answer on that one. So that's pretty terrible. You got anything else? Are we?
Well, I'll throw in the rest of the
speed
stuff.
round. We got some speed round stuff.
Yeah, robot performed surgery for his own time, first time powered by ChatGTP. Trump has Musk nemesis Shane Duffy, big new intern job in charge of NASA. Israel admits some of Iran's underground uranium stockpile survived. Trump splits and threatens to strike bases again. So
who said that? Who said that? Who said that? We did. We did. We were panicking.
Who'd have thunk? Switzerland prepares to introduce biometric ID cards. Whee!
Oh, the Swiss.
China developed cyborg bees.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I think that's more propaganda than anything else. But yeah, they are talking it.
Israel signed an agreement with the U.S. to cooperate in AI. Don't forget, they just signed policy to consolidate the ALL, all of the data. What was the all? All of the data.
AI must have wrote that.
Must be of all Americans, and now that data will be shared with Israel.
The 51st state, baby.
God bless America.
And God bless Israel. Don't forget, Steve. You have to say that. You have to say that.
United States of Israel.
That's right. That's right.
Who you got for a cry room?
So my cry room is going to be, I know I had a bunch other, but the one that springs to mind right now, I think yeah, let me do this one. Barbie. And let me share the screen on this one because Barbie has decided that inclusivity is everywhere and it must be needed. And I think you know where I'm going with this, Steve. You probably forgot to talk about it. But if you have a child that has diabetes, don't worry. You can get a Barbie that's like that. Here's Diabetes Barbie, who has type 1 diabetes. And not the real diabetes that we're all really associated with. But it's type 1 diabetes. And she's got a glucose monitor in her arm and a cell phone with an app showing her daily glucose readings because all little boys and girls, all little girls want.
Well, it gets the kids hooked on the surveillance state too.
It's right. That's right. It's powered by AI, so don't worry about it. And on a less jovial note, on a serious note, my saints of the week are Blair and Brooke Harbor. If you don't know those names, those are the two little girls who were lost in the tragic 4th of July floods. It went around the Catholic media sphere because they went to St. Rita's Catholic School and they were clutching each other in their final moments. And I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but some reports say they were holding rosaries. Some say they weren't. Either way, eternal rest grant unto Blair and Brooke Harbor. O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them, and may they rest in peace. They are my little saints of the week.
Yeah, my cry room would be the cheerleaders, DC Drano, Lives of TikTok, Jack Paso, all those guys that took out the binder folder and hey, we got phase 1 when no phase 2 ever was coming, and apparently they didn't open that binder until yesterday or whatever it was. And, like you said, Jack was going to read it for 40 minutes, yeah, baby, and now he's upset that he got pretty much shown to be a hack.
I'm not a hack, guys. I'm mad too.
My saint of the week, I'll go with the same idea that you were doing. Why is it not showing?
Technology. He got played
I'll try
hard.
that again.
Remix.
Was it? Is it showing up?
It's half going, and then I guess it just like cuts. Yeah, it's cutting out.
Huh. Well, there was the. Oh, I know why. It's on a different website. I'll put this up. It's the guy who helped save 160 some odd people during the flood. So, sticking in Texas. Here it is.
Yeah.
This guy, Scott Ruskin, saves 165 people in Texas floods in his first rescue mission. So people like that, good to see the local people get together and help out each other. And
you got to shout out to the Coast Guard. I know they get a lot of crap, but the Coast Guard helicopter pilots are, and I say this not even joking, the best in the world. They really are, because they go to places that nobody else will go, and Coast Guard helicopter pilots have saved countless numbers of lives. When you see the orange and white flying overhead, that you're in good hands. So shout out to the Coast Guard helicopter pilots, in my opinion. And you can even the Marines and the Navy guys, they won't say it out loud, but under their breath, they're like, yeah, they really are. But truly the best in the world. And we thank them for their service, because that's actually, unless they're deployed to Guam and all these other places, that's the best example of a local service. The service being used in a good way. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of News from the Pew. Please do us all a favor. If you'd like to support me, you can go to barnesandnoble.com and check out The Armed Catholic, the Catholic Case for Guns and Self-Defense. You can grab it there. It would be great if you could. Or go to Rickcast on YouTube. If you're on YouTube right now, just check out Rickcast. That's the show I do Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time. Or Rickcast Reviews. I just dropped my Superman review over on Rickcast Reviews.
Hey, you people check out his movie reviews. They're pretty good.
They're not bad. I mean, thank you, Steve. So check out Rickcast Reviews. I'll drop a link to Rickcast Reviews in the chat room for you guys, whoever's left. So please, if you'd like to, it'd be great if you could support it. If you want to support Steve's work, please go to censusfidelium.tv, where you can download his app, the Census Fidelium app. I have it. It is the best app out there. I know people say it all the time, but it really is a fantastic app. Steve's going to have to teach me how to do what he's doing right there, because I don't know how to do it.
Say a Hail Mary that the shadow ban stops tonight. Tonight, usually on the 11th, they take a video down. If they take a video down, the numbers keep going down. The numbers are literally going crappy right now. So if nothing gets hit, the watch numbers go back up, because they start pushing the videos out again. So I would like to see that get back to where it used to be. It's been hard.
Yeah. And if you want to help Steve offset that, doing the app is his best way to, it's like his Patreon. It's the best way to help for him. Thank you, Lou, for the super sticker. You really are. You're one of our best ones. Everybody is. Thank you, all of you guys, all 324 y'all. And we were up to 22 people on Rumble at that time. So thank you guys so much. God bless, and Viva Cristo Rey.